With 2021 coming to a close and looking forward to the monster of a year 2022 looks to be, I wanted to take a look back at my favorite games from this last year. While I didn't get to play all the games I wanted to, some notable games I haven't gotten to being Deathloop and SMT5, I did play a lot of very good new games this year. I finished about 20 new games this year, new games being anything that came out in 2021. But this video will be focusing on my top 5 and a few honorable mentions that just missed the cut.
Gentlemen, we thank you for waiting. And now let the games begin!
Resident Evil 8 was a bit of a surprise to me, as I am not a huge survival horror fan. Good for me though, the survival horror elements of the game really took a back seat to fun progression and exploration through a beautiful yet dingy, dreary landscape. The game almost feels a bit like a Metroidvania in the mid-game, constantly going back to old areas to explore and find secrets, upgrades, and plenty of world building. Combat can be a little clunky at times, it is by no means the smoothest shooter, but that adds to the tense encounters and makes landing a well-timed headshot on an incoming Lycan that much more satisfying. There is plenty to come back to and play after the credits roll, with plenty of unlockables to experiment with and enjoy on New Game Plus, and even a fun, arcadey Mercenaries mode if you want to get straight into some action. Ratchet & Clank was the first big PS5 game I was really looking forward to that did not launch with the system, and it was well worth the wait. While it played pretty much like any other Ratchet game at its core, that core gels with what I like in games a whole lot. There is a certain expectation for Ratchet games to have a huge selection of amazing weapon choices, but at some point, the developers have to be super creative to get something that feels fresh. Rift Apart did not have my favorite selection of weapons, but it still had a wide range that was a lot of fun to play around with. The best part about the weapons in this game, though, is the DualSense capabilities. The adaptive triggers made some guns feel unlike anything else I've ever shot before in a video game. The story was charming, but nothing special, and I have to say the same thing for the music in the game. However, the visuals in this game were something truly special. Many next-gen games have really impressed me in this first year or so of this cycle, but the colorful landscapes and space vistas in Rift Apart gave Insomniac a great opportunity to do something truly special, and they did not fail to execute. I have never played a game in the Tales series until Arise. It caught my attention at just the right time when I was looking for a big game to sink my teeth into, and Tales of Arise let me do just that. A game that boasts a compelling story that strikes a great balance between more serious subjects like slavery and racism, and lighthearted, funny character interactions, unlikely friendships, and goofy JRPG tropey side quests. The environments you explore are what I would call wide linear, being a series of interconnected branching paths that offer a wide variety of biomes, great music, and difficult mini-bosses to discover. Many generic enemies are reused throughout the game, but the combo-focused combat was so fun I almost didn't care. If I wanted to avoid a fight, it was no problem running around them on the map, but I never really wanted to do that until very, very late into the game. Each character has a huge skill tree to chisel away at, unlocking loads of fun moves and buffs.
Get toasty! Burn strike!
This might sound strange, and I can't quite explain it, but my experience with Tales of Arise felt like Bandai Namco took the best elements of Square Enix's Dragon Quest XI and Final Fantasy XV and molded them into something truly great. The close-knit characters and their interactions, both in and out of combat, reminded me a lot of my times in FF15, and the exploration and charm of the world, both in the environments and the towns, gave me Dragon Quest XI flashes. Needless to say, I am now on the lookout for what Tales can offer next. Halo Infinite was a long-awaited, notoriously delayed game that had a lot of pressure and expectations riding on its success. and in my opinion, Halo Infinite crushed it, delivering a compelling single-player campaign that brings the series forward and a non-stop fun multiplayer experience that I wish I could play more and more. The campaign split up between an open world and more linear mission-like areas that deliver most of the story exposition. The open world of Halo Infinite is what shines though. The large but not overwhelming sandbox was an absolute delight to explore and constantly dangled a carrot in front of me for things to go do next.
High priority.
The base structure of the open world was a great idea, letting me choose a loadout from several fun weapons and vehicles to go into any encounter just how I wanted to. Being able to choose weapons I liked to use made conquering enemy strongholds that much more fun. Speaking of fun, let's not forget the best part of the gameplay, the grapple hook. This seemingly small ability made all the difference in the movement and feel of the game. It had so many different ways to go into engagement, whether that be seeking higher ground to drop down on an enemy, or grappling directly to an enemy to get a quick melee kill. The grapple hook made me feel like I was freestyling every single engagement and made the combat constantly feel fresh. Because of this, I rarely switched from the grapple hook to enjoy any of the other tools in Chief's arsenal. It would have been cool if the grapple hook could have its own button to rectify this. Now let's touch on the reason why this game is at number 2 and not quite number 1. A bulk of the story of this game is fed to you in repetitive, corridor-filled structures that almost act like little dungeons from a Zelda game. This sounds sweet, but really these indoor sections are very bland and all share the same designs and basic puzzles. I get it, it makes sense for things to be this way in game, but it was a noticeable turnoff for me after the second or third time through one of these things.
You cannot stand against the back. Humanity is pathetic in all its forms.
Overall though, Halo Infinite is a great game and an exciting template for 343 to build on in the future. I look forward to continued fun with friends in multiplayer and for whatever single-player content follows down the line.
The enemy has captured Bravo.
Before I talk about number 1, let's briefly go through some honorable mentions. Loop Hero was such a creative twist on the roguelite genre that I absolutely loved. I loved every aesthetic, from the pixel art to the setting and monsters, and the music is so damn good. The one downside in my opinion is if you want to get the final ending, you either have to find a really broken setup or grind quite a lot. Probably both. While the story is a fun ride, Marvel fan or not, the moment-to-moment gameplay of Guardians of the Galaxy left something to be desired. The great voice acting, brilliant art and visuals almost made me feel like I was playing through a Guardians TV show.
Any sign of our monster? Not yet.
Bowser's Fury was short, but a great look into what Mario may be in the future. The option to hoard power-ups and use whichever you needed for the situation at hand in the moment was great and allowed for a high level of player agency. Also, the music when Bowser is attacking is an absolute banger. The moment-to-moment action in Returnal is some of the best I've played this year, but personally, I just needed a touch more in the progression department to elevate it to the top of my list. Challenging bosses, varied, spooky environments, and great sound design are all top-notch, and made the feeling of dying and having to return all the way back to the beginning not so bad because it was still fun to go back and experience from the start. Death's Door was my favorite indie game of the year. Exploring the painterly isometric world was a blast, and the combat was just the right level of challenging to demand my respect, but not so hard that it pushed me away. Funny NPCs and great secrets are aplenty, and it gives the world great depth. My Game of the Year 2021 is Metroid Dread. Plain and simple, Metroid Dread is not only my favorite Metroid game so far, but one of my favorite games in recent memory. The dense, action-packed journey through Planet ZDR left me wanting more and more. Like other Metroid games, there's a slightly slow start while you gain abilities and learn the controls, but I never felt like the game was dragging along to where I wasn't having fun. And the snowball effect from Samus and her base abilities to the world's best bounty hunter is such a satisfying trip. Completing every inch of the map required me to both master all of Samus's platforming abilities and to search every nook and cranny of the map, as almost every single screen hid something. It never got old to me exploring Planet ZDR, and the game did a great job making me want to check just one more room, and one more, and one more, and one more. The Emmy sections made for a great change in pace and managed to make me feel vulnerable no matter how strong I had built myself up to be along the way. Some of the series' best moments came from Dread, and the ending of the game feels like a fitting conclusion to this 2D Metroid arc if they really do end it here. Maybe next year will give us an opportunity to play another great Metroid game. What games are your favorite from this year? What games are you looking forward to next year? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed watching this video, a thumbs up would be really appreciated. But if you hated everything I had to say and disagreed with my list entirely, I will also welcome a thumbs down. It really helps balance my self-esteem. If you want to see more reviews from me or check out some more gameplay from different games, consider subscribing down below. Thanks for watching. 2021 was a great year for games, and here's to an even better 2022.